Brahmasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganashadisham Tattvamasya Rilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Nityanandam. Hi, this is Ma Nitya Ovyananda, and today I wanted to tell another story about Swamiji's life. It's actually just a personal experience. Swamiji talks about the importance of the pramanas. So validating basically Hinduism, basically what the scriptures say. So that's the Shastra pramanas. And then what the other enlightened masters say, what their experiences are, is recorded in the Apta pramanas. And then what our guru, our master says, his life, his experiences, with the same truths that are both in the scriptures, the Shastra pramana, and in the masters, the other masters' life experiences, which is the Apta pramana. So our guru, our master, having those same experiences, validating those, is called the Atma pramana. Then the devotees, the disciples, the sannyasis of the master, the living master, is called Sakshi pramana. So my Sakshi pramana regarding the enlightenment place of Swamiji. As he was 11 years old, he went to this place where he would always meditate. It's a special rock and a special place in Arunachala, on Arunachala Hill. So he would go there often and do his meditations. And one day, he had the breakthrough experience where his third eye opened up. He connected with the cosmos, and he had that oneness experience. He so beautifully tells it. I'll include that link because only he can tell it so well. But he tells about how he was able to see 360 degrees around him, above him, below him, all parts, all sides. With his eye, he had his eyes closed, and he was able to see everything around him. And he felt the rock he was sitting on was his skin. The skin of the rock was also his. Like everything was one, was him. He was in everything. Everything was him. So he had that amazing experience at such a young age. And he really just beautifully details it, which I'll include. And we had the experience of going there recently with a group of new Adinavasis. And I had never been there before, but of course I've seen pictures, I've heard about it, and I always wanted to go. And finally, about a month or so ago, we went on a trip and went to various places of Swamiji's life, where he spent his time in his childhood. So Arunachaleshwar temple, the samadhi of both of his gurus, Mataji Kupamal and Yogananda Puri. And we went to the place also, Isika Swami. He is the guru of Kupamal Mataji. And there you can see all the faces of Arunachala, the 5 faces of Shiva. You can see at one time in one place there. It was really amazing to see. You could make out all of the pieces. And actually it was like holding up a hand, your hand. Each of the ones in the last one was here, and it was kind of like that, like your hand. So it was really amazing. In the temple we spent a lot of time. You can spend all day there, really. There's so much amazing things to see, and the deities are amazing. And just where Swamiji learned about yoga, and actually had experience with Sadashiva himself, who landed in the, who came for him, landed for him in the form of Arunagiri Yogeshwara. So all those places we got to see. But of course, it's one of my favorites also. But my favorite experience, new experience I had, was being at Corel Rock. See, we went there at the night, and we weren't even going to go because it was already getting so late. And the place is not lit. It's up on top of the hill. You have to climb through rocks. And of course, none of us had shoes because it's a sacred place, so you don't wear shoes. And it was very rocky and hard to see. But anyway, we decided to go, and it was, a good number of people. I don't know exactly, maybe 100. So we went up to the rock, and it was just breathtaking. Because it's not all the way up high. It's kind of a little more down, but you can see kind of to the left, the city glowing a little bit. And then you can see, of course, that we worship the rock itself. So the rock had all the things that we put for the deities. So the sandal, the kumkum, the basma, all of that was there, and we did the arti. And we just were in that place and that experience for some time. And I kind of did my respects a little bit briefly because it was so crowded, it was hard to get there. So I basically did a little namaskar, but it was hard to get in. So then I backed away a little bit. And I kind of looked around and was seeing the scene. The stars were there and it was dark. And I can see the other side. It was like kind of a valley there. And on the other side, you could see the Arunachala Hill there. And the glow, it was like glowing, actually. I felt it looked like it, definitely mystical. The way the glow was there and the whole scene. It just took my breath away all of a sudden, you know? So then all the people started to kind of go, and there was only some few of us devotees and sannyasis left there. We just didn't want to leave, so we were lingering there. So maybe like 10, 15 of us. And again, I'm like, okay, I need to go back somehow. I felt like I had to touch that rock again and properly pay my respects, you know? So I removed my glasses, and I pressed my head there. And I felt, especially in the third eye region, because that's, the place where Swamiji had all his awakening. Fully the third eye, the enlightenment experience, everything was there. But when I pressed my head there, like I felt almost as if and it was hard stone, and it had a little, the dust, that sandy dust, grit. And when I pressed my head there, I was surprised to find that it felt almost soft, like a moss. Moss, how it grows on the trees and it's kind of cushiony. I felt like maybe my head was pressing against inside the stone, or I don't know how to describe it. But it was such a feeling like I connected with that place and that rock. So we call it the Enlightenment Rock. In Tamil, it is called Pavazha Kundru. Pavazha Kundru. I'm sure people will correct me because somehow I try, but I still get a little mixed up with the Tamil. But Pavazha Kundru, Coral Hill, it means like small hill. So that place, it was just a beautiful experience and connection that I felt. And every time then, we stayed there for a few days still in Tiruvannamalai area, and I still felt kind of that connection. And even when we returned back to our adinams where we're staying, I could close my eyes, and somehow one day I was closing my eyes thinking about that rock, and I saw the rock in my inner space, exactly how the rock I felt would be at that time of day, the way the sky was blue and the sun was coming from this side, in the way the hill looked across in the daylight. And I've never seen it in the day. I only saw a picture of just the rock itself, but the whole, like that area around and that beautiful mystical looking hill portion behind, all of that I've never seen before. But I saw it like in my third eye or something. I felt such a connection, and I still felt that experience of putting my head on that rock. And I always feel even now, like some warm and fuzzy. I don't know what other better way to describe it, but such a nice feeling when I think of that place. So hopefully I'll get to go back and spend a little time there, sitting with the rock and just being in that space where Swamiji was. It was such a profound experience for him, and such a wonderful energy there. His energy is there, and a little bit different variation, And it was a blessing to be there and to understand and see the life of these great beings. Swamiji is an avatar. Like, when is the last time an avatar has been on planet Earth? Not since Krishna. So we're talking thousands of years back. Of course, there's been other incarnations and enlightened beings, but an avatar like Swamiji has not been around. So the thing is to understand how he landed in the body, what things he did and went through. But as I said before, I believe, obviously one thing we know, he had a conscious birth. He speaks about it. But for him, now saying 11, 12 years old, I had my enlightenment experience on that rock. But I know he was already enlightened and awake and conscious and all that. But he did have this experience there, and he is relating to us and letting us know that it's possible for all of us too. That's why it's so important for him to share his life from birth till now. Everything that happens, he's open. He shares all those experiences. And it's a lesson for us, because he wants us to know that it is possible for us. And he did go through this in his life. But I believe he just went through it only to show us that experience and be able to describe it. Because off the bat, he was already there in Avatar. But in order to relate with us and to teach us, he wanted to also gain some way or that he can connect with us and make us understand. So he has to lead by that example in his life, which he so beautifully has done from day one. His whole life is a beautiful lesson. And we learn so much about how he's handled his whole life. There's nothing out of whack, or whatever you want to say. Everything is totally legit and pure and beautiful. It's like from day one he was a sannyasi, from the time he was born, and through toddler age and up, and he even received kavi from Arunagiri Yogeshwara. Imagine, and he still has that fabric. And he said they tried testing the fabric and they can't trace it. They can't trace the fibers. Interesting. But that's another story I'll explain later. That's a whole nother, Swamiji spoke so much about him. Beautiful stories. But what a being and a life that he's had. It's such a colorful, amazing life, full of he's such a determination, such a dedication, such a love for humanity, and such a love for Hinduism. He is unwavering in that, and I've seen him do nothing but give to people. I was just talking again with somebody, another sannyasi today, how everything Swamiji does is for others. And when you hear people criticizing him, or people saying things that are derogatory or making up false rumors, it's a sin. That's all I know. Cosmically, those people are going to find out. To just make up things like that about such a being is a crime. It really is. Because I see Swamiji, and I've seen him in different modes, from the teaching mode to the guru, to the walking, to the fatherly, to the motherly, to the friendly, to being the leader, the Hinduism leader, to being in the ritual, the pujacharya, shivacharya, to, just being like fatherly to the kids, to the Gurukul kids, to all different aspects. And I've seen, and even anything he can do on his own, but he allows people to do those things to let them, for one thing, people release karmas this way by serving him directly, by offering him food or giving him, here's a pillow or a blanket or something to drink, or here's your iPad or whatever it is, being able to do that for him, serve it. It's actually only for those people. Those people get healing, their karma's released, and they get to express their bhakti to him. Oh my God, right? So for a devotee or disciple, you cannot understand it unless you are one. And if you're not one, if you never experience love or any kind of connection with something, then you don't have room to talk. Because if you're going to criticize about Swamiji and what he does and make up all these things, then you have never loved anything in your life, because you have no clue. But his life is continuously for people, speaking to people, allowing them around him to connect with him in so many different ways, is such a blessing and such a lesson for us to learn. How can we be more giving and more open to life? All of the things he teaches, just by sitting around him and observing, you can learn so much. It's such a blessing. So I'm lucky to have experienced those things, and I am so happy to share that with you today. And I'll include again the link to Swamiji speaking about his enlightenment experience. So please check it out and download the book, Glimpses of Avatar Leela, the autobiography of Avatar, Volume 1. So check out that also. Thanks again for watching. Nityananda.